I think that Palworld has killed cozy gaming. Well, at least for me. Now, as a self-proclaimed cozy gamer and YouTuber, my friends are finding it a bit surprising that I am so into Palworld. And likewise, I'm surprised at how many of these cozy YouTubers have been playing it even on their otherwise wholesome YouTube channels. I mean, we're the people who are still somehow playing Animal Crossing New Horizons, despite it having no content updates and it being almost 4 years old at this point. And even as a kid, I've always enjoyed games with more of a chill vibe, but there's something about Palworld that I think I just really needed, and I think a lot of my friends would agree. Sure, you have your adorable, capturable creatures, but beyond just being cute, it's also challenging. And when you've spent the last almost half decade playing games with absolutely no stakes, Palworld feels kind of refreshing. But why am I talking about this? Well, aside from Palworld essentially curing my boredom, there's something else that it made me realize that I'm not seeing a lot of people discuss at all. And I'll get to that, but first I want to take a little step back and talk about the cozy genre in general, because it's a mess. Growing up, I've never heard the term cozy game, but I've always liked chill gaming experiences. I wanted to figure out when people started using this term, cozy, as like a genre. So I did a little digging, and it turns out this term is only about 7 years old, maybe. Social media in general did make it popular, but I think cozy game became an actual genre, starting with this Reddit post in particular. This might be the birthplace of it. It's a pretty simple one. What is the most comfy/cozy game you've played? The top comment, of course, unsurprisingly, is Animal Crossing, but the first Animal Crossing released in 2001. Stardew Valley, however, came out in 2016, and that's a lot closer to when this post was created, and it happens to be the second top comment. So in my mind, Stardew Valley is kind of the gold standard when you think about cozy games, and that's going to be important as we unpack how Palworld completely murdered this otherwise adorable genre. Because, look, it's not all Palworld's fault. The problem with cozy games is the painful lack of innovation. You see, you and I aren't the only ones who think Stardew Valley when we hear the term cozy game. No, it turns out many publishers have that very same problem. For example, this is Fae Farm. It's a game about inheriting a rundown farm, getting your hands dirty, and restoring both the farm and the town to their former glory. And this is Coral Island. It's a game about inheriting a rundown farm, getting your hands dirty, and restoring both the farm and the town to their former glory. Oh, but this is My Time at Portia. It's a game about inheriting a rundown farm, getting your hands dirty, and restoring both the farm and the town to their former glory. And this is one of the Harvest Moon games. Oh, and you're gonna love literally any Story of Seasons game. I know I'm being a little unfair to these games, and yes, I also know that there are other games that would consider themselves cozy. I mentioned Animal Crossing earlier, and there's a lot of games that have kind of a chill vibe where you just kind of relax and they have nothing to do with farming or dead grandparents. However, it is the farming games, in my opinion, that offer the richest amount of actual gameplay. With Stardew and games like it, you have story progression, relationship building, business management, exploration, there's things to collect, and there's virtually endless playability thanks to some really lofty endgame goals. For the average Stardew player, when these games come out, you kind of feel like you're just buying the same thing over and over. Enter Palworld. Let me just start by saying innovation is not a word that I would personally use to describe Palworld. I mean, it is basically just Ark Survival Evolved combined with any Pokemon game. Well, maybe specifically Pokemon Legends Arceus, which, to be fair, is the best one. At this point, I don't need to explain what Palworld is to you. What I'm interested in talking about, though, is why it's okay for a survival game to come along like Palworld and do something that's clearly already been done, but when a farming game does it, somehow it's bad and lazy. Obviously, I can only speak to my personal experiences and tastes here, but I believe that Palworld was the right mix of the right games, and importantly, at the right time. You see, I had burnt myself out on the survival genre pretty much about the time when New Horizons came out. Before that, I was basically only playing games like Minecraft, Ark, Subnautica, or No Man's Sky. But the next Animal Crossing kind of came at the perfect time because I was getting bored of those games. That whole genre just started to feel like the same thing being released over and over again. And right now, Starfield players are kind of feeling the same way. Starfield is basically just Skyrim, but with spaceships you can't really do anything with, and way more loading screens. Here's why Palworld is different though. Palworld took two incredibly popular things and then blended them together in a way that kind of made sense. It feels innovative while also still having mass appeal. In survival games, you typically start with nothing. It's a rags to riches experience. You punch a tree, you make your first tools, and then eventually you progress and level up to a point where you become massively overpowered and you have this huge base. And then in creature collecting games like Pokemon, you capture adorable creatures, you level them up, and the goal is to battle NPCs or other players and become the very best. But now we have a game where punching a tree is that first step to capturing that adorable creature. We now have a game where those adorable creatures you capture don't just battle each other. They help you build that base. They help you become massively overpowered. These two genres of game fit perfectly with one another, and I can't prove that no one's tried this before, but I think Palworld has proven that it's certainly done it the best. But Palworld is not cozy. The stakes are very high. The game can be incredibly stressful at times, and while it does feature decorating and adorable creature collecting, it also has guns and violence. So then why is everyone, including my fellow cozy content creator friends, playing this game? I have a couple of theories here, and I do think the biggest one is that lack of innovation I mentioned earlier. I mean, when you think about the rich gameplay of farming sims, Palworld does kind of cover the same bases. Instead of story progression, you kind of have bosses that you work your way through. Mostly the story is replaced by that huge tech tree you're trying to unlock. There is relationship building, it's just mostly with pals. There's no business management, but there is certainly base management. There's a ton of exploration, the map is massive, and there are plenty of things to collect. But that's the thing, I think being able to compare Palworld to a game like Stardew is why these more chill gamers are willing to try it out. It's just different enough that if you've ever tried one of these cozy games, this is a very new experience for you. And that leads me to my other theory. In 2020, you had the pandemic lockdowns, and that exact same time is when Animal Crossing New Horizons came out. Given that the Switch was so affordable, suddenly you had all these people trying out video games for the first time. And sorry, but I mean real games, not whatever hot garbage they had on their phones. But now for most people, life has kind of gone back to normal, right? But in my opinion, it's not like these new gamers are suddenly going to be uninterested in games in general. When they want to unwind, they're going to try and pick up their Switch or go to their PC and try and find something new to play. Just as Stardew Valley created the cozy genre, potentially, I believe Animal Crossing created a bunch of new gamers. But I don't think that means these new gamers only like cozy, chill games. So does that mean cozy games are dead? I mean, obviously not. But I do think games like Palworld have slowed down their popularity a lot. Just as I lost interest a few years back in survival games, I'm finding that I'm starting to feel the same way about these chill games. That is to say, I think I'm ready to just shoot stuff again. But seriously, I think Palworld should be a lesson to the gaming industry as a whole. For one, stop recycling the same exact thing over and over. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but I mean, take a risk, please. Especially you, Game Freak. Like, why do Pokemon only fight other Pokemon? Why are their levels purely based only around combat? Like, okay, what if in a mainline Pokemon game, you could take Pokemon that are otherwise just sitting in your box collecting dust and send them out on a little mission? And then on that mission, what if they found some supplies and brought them back to you, and you could use those to create some new items or set up a base or a homestead somewhere? I mean, Pokemon alone has so much untapped potential, and I hope that Palworld has taught Nintendo that. Look, I get not wanting to take risks, all right? I'm a YouTuber, and this is my first attempt at like a video essay. It could completely tank, but at the end of the day, if I want new people to find my channel, I have to try new things. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but I am taking a risk. Palworld has proven that it's possible to take some things that are old and put them together to make them feel new. And it has me genuinely excited about the evolution of gaming over the next few years. Anyway, if you like this, feel free to subscribe. I might do more like it, but in the meantime, I do other stuff too, like the SimCity video. It was fun to make.